Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and we have some news on Palworld. So we haven't had any big major updates from Palworld ever since the big Fabric update in December, and then finally the big crossplay update that came last month. And yeah, we've actually not been expecting anything big from them ever since because we currently understand the situation with their ongoing lawsuit with Nintendo and Pokemon, right? So an hour ago, they dropped this tweet giving us more information on what's been going on. So first of all, let's recap a little bit for those of you who are not aware of the situation. So back in September 2024, Nintendo filed a lawsuit against Palworld, right, stating that they had infringed upon several copyright patents, right. In November, Palworld was able to give us about 3 to 5 patents which Nintendo says that they are infringing upon. So the patterns that were violated upon, these were like basic gameplay mechanics, like riding a pair, like riding a pal, using an ability while riding, catching a pal with a spherical object, some very basic gameplay mechanics, which is what they are saying what the patterns were, right. I made 2 videos about that. I'll put in the description below so you guys can kind of like refer to that. Um, but yeah, so let's focus on what happened exactly an hour ago, right? So what's in this tweet? Regarding the lawsuit changes to Palworld and the future, we would like to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the continued support of our fans over the past few months. We apologize for not being able to share as much information as we would like, but we trust our fans understand how difficult it must be to be fully transparent while litigation is ongoing. Perfectly acceptable. We a lot of I think the majority of the player base is standing with Pocket Pair. They're like, you guys don't need to give us updates, right? Every update is anyway free, right? While we're in early access, so you guys take your time, right? We are not in any rush, right? We got major updates despite all this stuff going on. So it's perfectly fine, right? And it's nice to be in a sort of like a maintenance mode right now in Palworld for the players. Currently, we remain involved in prolonged legal proceedings regarding alleged patent infringement. We continue to dispute these claims and assert the invalidity of the patents in question. However, we have had to make certain compromises in order to avoid disruptions to the development and distribution of Palworld. So they did have to make a certain adjustment so that Pokemon cannot 100% nail them on certain patent infringements. So on November 30th, we released patch 0.3.11 for Palworld. This patch removed the ability to summon pals by throwing pal spheres and instead changed them to a static summon next to the player. Several other gameplay mechanics were also changed with this patch. As many have speculated, these changes are indeed a result of the ongoing litigation. Everyone here at Pocket Pair was disappointed that this adjustment had to be made, and we fully understand that many players feel the same frustration, unfortunately, as an alternative would have led to an even greater deterioration of the gameplay experience for players. It was determined that this change was necessary. So basically, what they're talking about is, um, so right here, they did a patch in. I think it came here in. Was it? No, this was not the patch. 0.3.11, which was down here. Here we go. So changes to player control. So they put out a patch. So before we throw the sphere to you know summon the pal right now. So now what happens is the animation is we just hold the sphere right next to our bodies and the pal just gets summoned next to us, right? We can no longer throw them and summon them over distance. And this was, some people complain and it was fine, right? The game still had plenty of other things to offer, so many other stuff, and this was just a minor thing, and I don't think players need to worry about this, right? So this happened back in November. All right, what else is new? What else is happening? Let's go back to the tweet. Furthermore, we regret to inform our players that with the implementation of patch 0.5.5, we must make yet another compromise. From this patch onwards, gliding. Okay, so we're talking about gliding. So I think this had effect to the pattern that mentioned something about riding uh, Pokemon or riding pals, right? Something to do with using abilities while riding. Uh, so from this patch onwards, gliding will be performed using a glider rather than with pals. Oh, that's interesting. pals in the players' teams will still be able to provide passive buffs for gliding, but players will need to have a glider in their inventory in order to glide. Okay, so I think I know what's exactly going to happen. So if you guys remember, you can glide using a Gale Claw or a Celeray. I can't remember who the other two, like a hanging type of Hangru, some other pals, right? You can use them to kind of like use them as a glider. Um, so I'm not sure why, because Pokemon never had these kind of gliding options, right? They had their own glider. I can't remember. Oh no, maybe they did, but it was just flying, right? Anyway, so players in the players team, so we can't use pals to glide anymore, but they having them in the team will provide passives. We want to extend apologies to our fans for the discomfort and the concern of this ongoing litigation has caused. We remain committed to developing Palworld and delivering exciting new content to our fans. On behalf of everyone at Pocket Pair and Team Palworld, thank you again for your continued support. All right, so let's take a look at what exactly changed, right? So now the update is already live. It's gone live. So as you remember, Gale Claw, I can't remember if there were any other pals, but these were the 4 pals I remembered off the top of my head who allowed you to glide with them, right? So so they had passives which allowed you to glide with them, and now you can no longer glide using them, but rather they provide passives for you to glide, for you to use the glider. So you definitely must need to have 100% a glider now, right? This slot needs to be occupied, right? You need to have a glider with you. So your pals will provide a passive for the glider now. So for example, if you look at Celeray, it says while in team, boost the performance of the equipped glider, allows for fast and extended movements of gliding. So that means we can glide of a greater distance. Hang you lifts the player higher while gliding. So yeah, basically you get kind of like a jump boost. The same goes for the Hangyu Crest as well. And Gale Claw will enable high speed gliding and allows you to shoot using the right hand, right? So all of these are going to give you different functionalities while gliding. Now it is highly important to note that these do not stack on top of one another. So just because I have all of them in my party right now does not mean I will have access to all these passives, all these passives while gliding, right? So it'll always take the passive of the topmost pal, right? So for right now I have Zephyr, right? And this guy will allow me to glide faster and extend the movements. So I will not have access. I'll not have access to the Gale Claw passive or the Hangyu passive. I will demonstrate that right now. So if you just go a little bit higher, and if you start gliding, so for example, Gale Claw gives you the one-handed glider, so you can shoot, right? But that's not going to happen here. As you can see, I'm just gliding normally, and yeah, I am gliding a little bit faster than normal, and yeah, I can just glide on, and the stamina kind of like goes a little bit slower. If I reorder my pals, and let me just reorder them by quickly going to the pal box. If I just if I put the Gale Claw back on top, and if you go a little bit higher, there we go, and we start gliding, we're going to do the one-handed thing now and go much faster. There we go. See, now we can do the one-handed thing. So it's always going to take the passive of the pal on top. And finally, if you go back again and redo the same thing and see the new passive working for the Hangyu instead. I'm not sure if the Hangyu ones stack on top of each other, right? So we'll put Gale Claw back here, Hangyu on top, sorry, down here. I'm not sure if the Hangyus can stack on top of one another, like the Hangyu passives, but it's difficult to tell if they stack up. We'll get ourselves a bit of height. And then finally, we'll take the Hangyu. And yeah, as you can see, I'm going a lot higher. I'm going upwards. So it's good for climbing. So yeah. So there goes have it. Like, so that's the that's pretty much the update for now, right? So you can no longer use your pals. You must have a glider, and each of the gliding pals will give you a different passive, and it's always the pal that is on top of your that is the topmost that's the one on the topmost one in your party that will give you the passive, and the rest will be unavailable. So you guys just need to keep that in mind. How do we feel about this? This is like perfectly fine, right? This is perfectly fine. We don't need to panic about this, and we should not hate on Pocket Pair for making these changes. They're still trying to give us a lot of updates. They're trying to do their best for us while working around these updates, and it's just Nintendo. Once again, I've said this in my previous videos, it's Nintendo doing Nintendo things, right? This is what this is Nintendo's MO. They just, if they see any game being a threat, they just quickly launch a copyright infringement lawsuit. They just send their army of lawyers after smaller developers so that they have zero competition. And we should not hate on Pocket Pair or give them a hard time for not giving us enough updates, for not giving us enough changes to the game, or for making changes like these. We should be completely understandable in this position they're in, and yeah, and leave it the way it is. So yeah, there you guys have it, the ongoing lawsuit news and the update news from Pocket Pair in Palworld. So hopefully, yeah, let me know what you guys think about the ongoing lawsuit so far. Share your thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next live stream video. Till next time, then, bye bye.